Welcome back, guys. 28 days later, we discovered that the virus was released by a bunch of activists, bunch of moronic activists, to be clear. See, this is why I do not like activists. They'd rather let the world burn than let their ideologies die. They released a bunch of rage-infected monkeys and unleashed this very devastating virus on the planet, almost eradicating the entirety of the UK. Now, this virus was very infectious. It transferred quite quickly, to be honest. And these zombies were very fast. The result of, of the release of this virus was some really atrocious zombies. And in 28 weeks later, we saw that these zombies could die from starvation, from lack of food to eat, because they were basically humans but lacked control over their rage. And only one woman was willing to find a cure. Just one lady was willing to find a cure. But that didn't end up happening, and the virus got re released and infected the rest of the inhabitants of the UK. Now, in 28 years later, we see that the UK had been under quarantine and segregated from the rest of the world then for the past 28 years, and they had moved on without them. Honestly, this movie sucks for me. I'm just going to come out and say it. And I'm going to have a lot of backlash for saying this, but I don't care. This movie didn't live up to my expectation. I had very high expectations for this movie, especially the zombies. The story wasn't how I imagined it would go. The story sucks, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I think it sucks. Starting with the story, I have no problem with the Wolf and the Cub story, the father and son story. Actually reminds me of Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us. They tried The Last of Us direction in this movie. I have no problem with that kind of story, but I think it doesn't fit into this story. It doesn't fit into this story. Don't get me wrong, the first half of this movie was great, right? We see a father taking his son out into the unknown to try and train and prepare him for what the world in which they live in now offered. It was 28 years later, after the rage virus had basically wiped out all inhabitants of the UK, right? They explored and bonded and killed zombies together. During the second and third acts of this movie was where I began to get lost. I mean, there was so much opportunity. There was so much a golden opportunity at the palm of these guys to explore, and they just decided to make the rest of the movie about Spike trying to find a doctor for his sick mother. The theme towards the end of the movie became about us reconciling with death and that all living things must die. We get that, but really, was that the best you guys could come up with? I mean, you had zombies which had practically been alive for the past 28 years. You didn't show us if they evolved. You didn't explore how smart they were, how they got so smart, their potential to cause some violent acts. None of this was explored. I expected that this movie would follow Spike and his father exploring the mainland of the UK. I mean, there was so much to explore in this movie. What about the boy we saw in the beginning of the movie? where his father, who was a priest, basically let himself get eaten. What about the boy and his friends now in the future? What paths could they have explored? Could they have become a faction that became a cult that worshipped the dead? But I was expecting more. This was a zombie movie. I needed deaths. I needed gruesome deaths. I expected a little bit of horror in this movie, but I didn't get any of that. Now, talking about the zombies in and of themselves, it's been 28 years. I expected mutations. I expected them to evolve. I like the concept of the alpha, you know, the alpha being bigger, stronger, being more intelligent. And then they sprinkle a little bit of diversity among the zombies. But I felt that wasn't enough. It's been 28 years, guys. We needed all I need all the zombies to be smart. I need all the zombies to be smart, not just one. And then there was a scene where I saw a bunch of them gathering. There was the pregnant zombie. I knew then and there I was going to see a scene where she was giving birth. Hollywood, why do you keep doing this to us? I don't want to see a zombie giving birth. I want to see a zombie ripping people's heads off, which we did see a little bit of with the soldiers trying to escape, running for their lives. It's not enough. When I saw the trailers 28 years later, it kind of promised us that we would see exceptional zombies. It kind of promised brutal zombies, but I didn't get to see any of that. Right? It's been 28 years later. There should be more. Even with the zombie that kind of looked like Killian Murphy for some reason, got one shot. He just got one shot and he was dead. Right? The zombies are seen killing theirs. How can they capture theirs? Theirs are skittish. Any movements in the grass and they're gone. How can they ambush a deer? I mean, the movie leaves more questions than answers. How do these guys become intelligent? How can zombies get pregnant? Bro, are they mating at this point? Are they having sex? This isn't the sadness, right? They don't have the mental capacity to have sex. So how is a zombie getting pregnant? Another question. Who was the kid from the beginning of the movie whose father was a priest? How did he survive? Although we did see him at the end of the movie where he rescued Spike with some of his friends. How on earth did this guy survive? He was a child, for fuck's sake. No backstory, no nothing. He just appears in the beginning of the movie and appears with a bunch of randoms at the end of the movie. Explanation, please. Give us some explanation. Another question. How did all these zombies survive? They are usually supposed to die after a few weeks from starvation. I understand the fat ones who crawl around the ground. Okay, those ones are slow. They munch on worms and the rest. But the fast ones, the ones in the clan with the alpha, how did they survive for so long? If the world knew, or if the world kept the UK in a quarantine, why haven't they come back? Why haven't they come back to annihilate the rest of the dead? Here's how I think they could have fixed this movie. This movie shouldn't have been about, or rather, it shouldn't have ended with Spike taking his mom to find a doctor that could help her with her sickness. But rather, they should have continued with the wolf and the cub story. Spike and his father going into the mainland and discovering the horrors that are waiting for them. Like I said, it's been 28 years. I think that they should keep the alpha concept. It's a good concept, but they should make all of them, the rest of the zombies, very intelligent and agile and versatile. I mean, we're looking at should be looking at I am legend kind of intelligence here. Should be able to hunt, to stalk and kill their prey. I mean, it, this movie should have been centered around the zombies, their evolution after 28 years. Because if they are alive, surely they should have evolved as well. Here's how I think they should have gone, right? Spike and his father leave the mainland. Sorry, they leave their island to go across the mainland. They come across those fat, slow zombies, right? They think to themselves, oh, it's fat and slow. We can kill them without any consequence happening. They're fat and slow. They can't do shit, right? So they kill them and they scream as they die. But unbeknownst to Spike and his father, those screams attract the Alpha and the rest of the group. They alert them to their location, but Spike and his father, they ignore it as, you know, screams of dying zombies. Now, this is where it should get interesting. They go on their journey without noticing that the rest of these zombies are stalking them. There will be signs, but they will think that it was a different group of humans without knowing that these zombies have attained a certain amount of intelligence. Now, finally, they strike and they run away. And in running away, they stumble upon a doctor who has been in isolation for the past 13 years. They stumble upon the doctor and they tell the doctor everything that they've gone through. And the doctor was like, of course, he knows about it. He's been in these woods for the past 13 years. They all plan to leave where he's been for the past 13 years and go back to the village. They try to escape, and on their route to escaping, they stumble upon those soldiers, got stranded on the mainland with them, and then it gets bad from there. This is where the zombie starts picking them off one by one, showing us their tactical accuracies, showing us their level of intelligence. Then they barely make it back to the island with the zombies running after them. That's how this movie should have ended. Should have ended in suspense, creating a sequel for 28 years later.